From Erie to Pittsburgh,
Steel workers!
Pennsylvania's Democratic candidate for Senate, John Fetterman, back on the campaign trail more than 3 months after suffering a stroke.
If I'm your next senator to Washington, D.C., guess what? You're still going to have a senator that's going to be living across the street from your steel plant.
Rallying members of the United Steelworkers Tuesday, Fetterman was on message, but often halting in his speech and occasionally dropped words mid-sentence.
Being anti-union is anti-American. What is wrong with demanding for an easy, safe kind of their income, a path to a safe place for them to win, or excuse me, to work?
Fetterman declined to answer questions from CNN and other reporters at the event. A campaign spokesperson telling CNN Fetterman is doing really well, walking 5 to 6 miles a day and following doctor's orders. They didn't say when the public would receive a status update from his physician about his condition, instead pointing to a June letter from his doctor that said Fetterman would return in 6 months for a checkup, and noting a July interview with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette where the 53-year-old said he had nothing to hide, while acknowledging he at times struggles with hearing, may miss a word or slur 2 words together.
It is one of the most common symptoms of a stroke. The slurred speech doesn't always indicate a problem with language processing. Sometimes it's simply a problem with pronunciation.
In May, doctors attached a pacemaker with a defibrillator to Fetterman's heart to treat his cardiomyopathy, a heart disease that makes it difficult for the heart to pump blood through the body. In that same July interview with the Post-Gazette, Fetterman said he is working with a speech therapist. Fetterman's health has emerged as a line of attack by his rival, celebrity doctor Mehmet Oz. On defense recently over an April video about crudité aimed at highlighting grocery store prices, Oz's campaign releasing a statement Tuesday that said, if John Fetterman had ever eaten a vegetable in his life, then maybe he wouldn't have had a major stroke. Fetterman responding, I know politics can be nasty, but even then, I could never imagine ridiculing someone for their health challenges. Fetterman's supporters at that union rally downplaying concerns over his health.
I think that he's back fairly quick from it, to be honest with you.
I think if it was a bigger issue than what it is, he would actually absolutely be more open about it.
A key question now is, when will we see these two candidates debate? Oz has really made this a central focus. Fetterman's campaign telling me Fetterman is up for debating Oz, but has not yet committed to a date. Jake?
All right, Eva McKinn in Pittsburgh in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Thanks. Let's discuss. Charlie, let me start with you, a former Republican congressman from Pennsylvania. I have to say, I agree with Fetterman. I can't remember a politician or a campaign in Pennsylvania mocking somebody's health challenges. Oh, he had a stroke. I mean, it's something we can talk about. It's certainly a valid issue for any candidate, but to make fun of it like that, it doesn't seem like reading the room of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, well, my advice to Dr. Oz is to not talk about vegetables anymore. Never utter the word crudité. Nobody knows.
I didn't even know what that was.
I didn't either. I thought it was crudite, which I thought was a rock or like kryptonite. But nevertheless, look, he's got to stop that. But having said that, there are legitimate questions about John Fetterman's health. Many believe that he has understated the severity of his situation. There's been a lack of transparency. And being a U.S. congressman or senator is a very physically demanding job. And, he has not agreed to any debates that I'm aware of so far. So there is legitimate concern about his health, but you shouldn't mock the condition or how he got there.
And Casey, you were there we saw the Fetterman's last event before he had that stroke. And again, just to underline this, nobody's making fun of it. We all hope him a complete and quick recovery, et cetera. But you were there, and you see a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a very distinct difference. I mean, this is a candidate who prided himself on the way he interacted with voters. He was a very easy conversationalist speaker, had no problem. I mean, I did an interview with him. He talked to other reporters while he was there. He's not doing that anymore on the campaign trail. And, look, I think, as is always the case with issues of candidates' health, the question is, are you capable of serving the people that you are running to represent, right? That is the important question. And that is why it becomes a legitimate question. But to your point, I've never seen, I mean, how many times have we all been in receipt of nasty opposition research suggesting someone is too old or senile or whatever, like whatever the problem may or may not be? I've never heard people just do it out in public like this. I mean, especially because
It was a written statement, too, which means
Right.
they thought about it and had it approved.
Right.
So was the crew to that
Has
video.
always seemed like
done too.
a tripwire for Oz. And really, I mean, maybe it's more like a trapdoor because as a doctor, kind of the condescension
exactly.
toward Fetterman, that basically the Fetterman campaign is going to take that and turn it around and say, he's talking about you. You, who, like me, didn't listen to your wife and go to the doctor, are being mocked by Dr. Oz. That's why this has always been a possibility for Oz to go there. I'm surprised that they decided to go there. Maybe it's a mark of a sense that they need to get tough on Fetterman because Fetterman has been relentlessly going after Oz on social media, but it may be in a way that I think for the voters, the average voter, is not going to play well.
But I feel like it was they thought they were trying to attack him or get at his health, but they did it in such a boneheaded way that it really backlashed. And especially for Dr. Oz, who is someone, you know, folks have made fun of some of the kinds of things he used to push on his shows.
The quackery.
The quackery.
He was hauled before Congress.
Exactly. So that's what it also, I think, reminds people.